let's do this thing. Welcome, everybody, to the In Between podcast. I'm your host, Cesar Guerrero, and my friends here have joined us again for episode 3. And as you can tell, the setup is different. We got some upgrades. We got arms. We got microphones. We realized how janky our last setup was, and that made my life more difficult on the editing side. So I was like, you know what? Let's invest a little bit in ourselves and see how much easier my life can be with these new mics. So hopefully you guys feel like official podcasters now.
Oh, I walked in and I was like, we made it. Like, this is, I don't know how much farther up we can go from here. This feels good.
Yeah. I feel like I'm on a radio show. I'm here to promote my new album. Sorry, do you feel like you're about to promote an album or some kind of official radio show?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We on the Hot 911, you know, yeah. WQQX.
And so hopefully our listeners who aren't watching this on YouTube can hear the better quality, the crisper audio. But yeah, so it's a new day for the In Between podcast.
Amen.
So for those of our listeners who are new, introduce yourselves.
Hey, I am Tabitha. I am a co-creator here at Lake Forest for the youth ministry.
And I am the student pastor here for the youth ministry.
Awesome. And I'm Caesar. I get to do the podcast.
And we love Caesar.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate it.
And he's also
I'm a creative producer at Lake Forest.
There you go. Make it known.
There we go.
We do all kinds of creative projects.
Yes.
One of which is the In Between podcast, which I love. It's a lot of fun. So, like I said, episode 3. I probably will stop counting at some point. So, just for future reference, I'm not going to say episode 260.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean,
but this
is
episode 3, and it's a different setup, so I felt like it was good to mark that.
Yeah.
But today we're doing a themed podcast.
Yes.
And that theme, because it's February, is dating and relationships.
Oh boy.
And in student ministry, because I did student ministry as a small group leader and as a leader for a long time, know that's on a lot of students' mind. And so when you guys said, hey, we want to do a whole episode for this, I thought it'd be real fun to try that out and to make it a little bit more fun. And instead of our icebreaker question to get us started, we're going to play a game.
Yes.
Are y'all excited for a game? Yes. I'll edit some game show music underneath.
There go the music right there.
I love this. I love this.
Or I'll just loop what you just did right there. Awesome. So let's do a game show, and this game is called Times Are a Changin'.
Okay.
These questions deal with dating and relationships within the United States, but things have changed a lot. Yeah, our country's only been around for about 250 years, I think. I don't know how long.
We're about to hit our 250.
Yeah. And dating and relationships have looked very different
in this 200.
Yeah. Tabitha is our resident historian.
That is facts.
Yes.
She's going to have her own podcast called History with Tabitha. But yeah, this game is called Times They Are a Changin'. So these are about relationships and dating. And so the way you guys will buzz in is you will say your name, and that person will get to guess first. And it will be closest to the year kind of round. So every round there will be a year that they believe I guess the collective internet historians say things changed this year. So has been said, so it is.
Yes.
Datingologist.
So
there we go.
So I did some quick Google searching. So when you say your name, say the year that you think this changed in our country, and then the other person will get an opportunity to guess, and whoever gets closer to the year that the internet said that thing changed wins a point. All right?
Facts.
So question number 1. Actually, let's test the dingers. So go ahead and say your name.
Tabitha.
Okay. Wow, I think she's going to win every time.
Every single time.
Listen, from the young age, I have been watching Jeopardy and the Wheel of Fortune right after, so I am ready.
So we know Tabitha's buzzer is working. Just go ahead and give us...
Just.
Oh, yeah. Just going to be linked to... Just. Slow motion.
Please do that.
Hey, but that might work into your advantage. Hearing her answer, you might... Ooh, makes it easier for you. All right. We ready?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Question number 1. What year did men stop holding hands in public?
Just.
Okay.
2004.
2004.
Tabitha.
Okay.
We're going to go 1990.
1990. Wow, these are surprisingly like recent. I would have guessed y'all would have gone like 1800.
At first I didn't want to say it because like to me I'm like people still hold hands.
Yeah.
So for me
But
I was like that's
out in public?
okay, well maybe I've had different experience than the internet, but
Okay. So when this was like a normal thing for men who are friends, men who are related to each other.
I misunderstood the question.
Yeah.
Okay. I fully misunderstood the question.
Yeah, but that also is helpful.
Two men holding hands.
You mean two guys who are friends? Okay.
It was normal for men to
That's
lock
way back.
arms and
Yeah.
walk down the street together,
Yeah.
hold hands to do pictures.
I thought you meant men initiating hand holding with another woman, where I was like, people still do that.
Oh, wow.
No, that's actually,
Well,
no,
this
that's
shows
full
what
fact.
our biases are coming
Bro,
into these.
that's not my culture.
So
I've
this,
never
exactly.
But-
so this was a thing up until 1950.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
People say
I
around the
got that.
1950s you just didn't see it that much in pictures. But if you go to Civil War photos,
Yeah.
there's men holding hands just to pose for a picture. And it was normal for men in cities to like look really good in their blazers and stuff like people who worked in the offices to like walk arm in arm and just
Yeah.
kind of like I guess the ultimate version of like man spreading. You know how like guys just spread out when they sit down. They would lock arms and walk down the sidewalk, and people
Yeah.
would have to go around them. So and it was just a normal thing. They do it holding hands and stuff like that. So
Never knew that.
Go look up some
Yeah.
pictures. It's
No,
really
it
interesting.
was
Learn
legit.
something new every day.
All right. Question. So I
I'm
guess
mad
you got
at
that
myself
one right.
now.
I never.
Tabitha
Yeah,
would've got-
Tabitha got that one.
Yeah.
1990. All right. So I gotta get.
I thought you were saying from men
I'm
to
not
woman.
I'm not happy about that win. I just want to put that out there.
Hey, it's fine. Alrighty. We ready for question number 2?
For sure.
What year did dating become popular?
Tabitha,
All right.
that's 1950s. 1950. We'll go 1955. 1955.
1955.
Dating. I'm thinking like the Grease lightning era.
Okay.
Like 60s disco. No.
I don't know.
That was the 60s.
I never really liked the movie Grease.
I'm
thought
not.
it was kind
I was
of
gonna
annoying.
say I'm not gonna help you
But
here.
Grease
But
lightning.
I feel
I'm gonna
like
say it's
we're in the-
1960 though. Like
we're right in the
disco?
same area.
Yeah. So you said 1955.
Yes.
And you
I
said
said
1960? Is what
Yeah.
you're saying? The answer is 1925.
Stop playing.
19 by article I read is by 1925 or mid 1920s.
interesting.
People started like just going on dates all
Mm-hmm.
the time, and it wasn't, like somebody had to come and like ask your parents to take you out on a date. Like it was just people could just go on dates with
That's
whoever they wanted
crazy.
to.
The courtship era.
Yeah,
I mean, Roaring 20s. That actually
Yeah.
makes a lot of
That's
sense.
facts though.
Yeah.
That's
Cool.
facts.
We're learning things
We're
on
learning.
the in between.
I
That's two
love
things.
this.
Two
I
things
love
we've learned.
I'm
this.
living right now.
And then final question, even though Tabitha is 2 for 2 right now, let's
Yes.
see if Jess can avoid the sweep. Tabitha's bringing out her brooms.
Legit.
All right,
This is a
so,
straight sweep.
All
Straight
right, ready?
sweep.
Last question. When did the first online dating service launch?
Tabitha.
Ooh,
We're going with 2005.
online dating. Wait.
All right. You have the advantage. You get to think about this a little bit longer. Tabitha's trigger happy.
I felt very pleased with my answer, and I will stay pleased with my answer
Oh, she's confident.
until Caesar tells me I'm wrong.
She said 2005.
I said 2005.
2005.
Dang, she spelled right there.
Dos mil cinco. Dos mil cinco. Come
All right,
on.
I gotta say like 2002. I gotta.
2002.
Oh, that's rude.
The answer is, are we ready? 1965.
Okay.
Online dating.
Harvard students.
There was no internet. Please explain.
I looked up online, and there is an online program that Harvard students created, I think, just for themselves. And it was, they were able to use computers and get people to match online, I guess, in a way that made sense when computers in 1965. The internet wasn't even invented back then.
I was going to say
which is
that's
crazy.
why.
Yeah, that was
because I equate the internet to online.
Yeah.
I mean, get me on a technicality, Caesar. That's fine.
I might have to, but apparently, these people are supposed
That's-
to
Okay.
be
I
the
wouldn't
first people to use computers to connect people together for dating.
That's because I feel like we feel like we're like we're revolutionists.
Yeah.
Like we created so much.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? And so
we think we've created online dating, and it was actually
was
our grandparents.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, that's a good icebreaker, I think, to our topic for today, online and relationships. And we're not experts. I'm not going to claim to be an expert on this, but like I said, this is the in-between podcast where we talk about where our lives and our different lives that we've had thus far and our faith overlap. So speak honestly about these questions and these topics, because you never know who might be listening, who might need to hear that perspective, that it's like, oh, I didn't know that existed, or I didn't know that person also felt that way, or had a similar experience as I did. So I'm excited for today's podcast. And to get us started with our question, with our topic, I want to ask this question: what's one way you think dating is different now than it was when you were dating? And Tabitha, I'm assuming you're still dating.
Yes, Tabitha is single and dating currently. I'm at the table with two married men, so we're bringing in perspectives here.
Well-rounded conversation.
Oh yeah.
So I guess you'll be our barometer.
Yes, I'll say that's fair. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I should have had you ask this question.
Yeah. Okay.
But,
so please, Caesar and Jess, please tell us, how has dating changed now from when you were dating?
Jess, I'll let you go first.
That is a really good question. Ironically enough, I had a conversation with a friend of mine who is navigating through this very same thing. And so I'm just going to take a spin off of what we talked about. How about that? Essentially, what the core of what we were talking about is a girl who displays like a fleeting way of showing that she's into someone. It's indecisive. Excuse me. She likes him, but the fear to commit to something prevents her from fully engaging in a relationship. And I think that because we live in a microwave generation, and just in case you don't understand what that means, is we are people who have accessibility at our fingertips, so we want things immediately because we know we can get it immediately. You want to order some food, you can hop in your car, or not, you can have it delivered. Or you order it online. You don't even have to go to the store. So we want things immediately. But at the point of our conversation, it was FOMO. It is fear of missing out on, what if I get with this person and there was this other person that liked me and I was sticking it out with this person and it didn't work. But this person over here, they like me and it looks like the grass is greener on the other side. And so, but what if it didn't work out with that other person too?
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? It's like,
and that's different than when you were coming up.
I'm not going to, and it's no, because we started it. But because we were the genesis to this big thing, the origin to this big thing. Sorry for the non-Bible readers out there. Because we started this, we have a better understanding now of the problem that we created, which is FOMO. Like we all feel like to be stuck with one person will cause us to miss out on the opportunity with something else. And that's a friendship, that's a dating relationship, that's anything. Anything that you apply yourself to. If you're playing sports over here and this sports season is going on, it's like you don't want to miss out. Your friend is having a party over here and a party over here. You're going to leave this party early just to go, like it's all over the place. And we just don't want to miss out. But what happens is we don't learn to the true root of love. We don't learn the true character of love, which is consistency.
Yeah.
Love is all about consistency because love is all about trust. You can't build trust without having consistency. That's how trust is found, right?
Yeah. I would say, to piggyback off what you're saying, this kind of like FOMO is more of like a real, like a universal thing.
Yeah.
Whereas like when I remember in high school, because a lot of our listeners are going to be middle school and high school. And even in that, like different families do dating in different ways. And so I grew up in a family where like, I knew I probably couldn't date, but my parents never made it like explicitly clear. And it was more because of I grew up in a very like in a very Christian household, culturally Christian household,
Yeah.
where, you know, my parents were like, yeah, you can have lots of boyfriends and girlfriends. Like, like you could boy dash friends, girl dash friends, because I had a sister. And I had a sister, so it was like, my sister's like, you know, you can have all the boyfriends you want. Yeah. And for me, it was like, you can have all the girlfriends you want. And I was like, I think we're not having the same conversation, you know, about this. Yeah. But it was this kind of like, hey, like, you probably shouldn't be dating.
Yeah.
But then I got to the age of, I think it was around like my sophomore year of high school, where someone was like interested in me back. Yeah. And so, you know, be texting, stuff like that. And my parents just kind of didn't know what to do with that. So they just kind of would, you know, we couldn't go on dates. I couldn't drive at the time. So it's like they would be with us at all the dates and stuff like that. So I never thought that was weird, but I also didn't have what I think so many students have now, which is like super visibility in other people's lives, where it's like I couldn't really compare like my like relationship with somebody else's relationship as I think students are doing at this point in time. Yeah. So I think social media has had a huge like impact on that. But I also just, you know, for if you have any listeners, if we have any listeners, which I think we do, who come from a more Christian, culturally Christian background, you know, I can kind of see how that probably hasn't changed much, where it's like you have this expectation of what you think, oh, the Bible says about dating or the church says about dating. Like I feel like that pressure is still there for Christians to do it to date and to be in relationships in the right way. Yeah. And so so I think I would say that that's a way probably the cultural divide is probably a lot bigger than it was even just for me. Yeah. In my youth group, you know, growing up. So I would say that's where it's.
But if we're talking about dating and relationships, sex obviously is thrown into that, and I think the thing about when you get in a relationship is just the level of expectation for what's next in this relationship. You know what I'm saying? It's like we're moving ahead full steam without actually knowing the person that we're trying to move ahead with. Yeah. And then you get all, you know, tangled into this web of whatnots. And you find yourself in situations that are honestly unhealthy emotionally because you didn't take the time to really like know the person that you're getting with. I really if I can encourage anybody out there, and this is straight up honesty, like I've had my fair share of like dating women and being with women, and like it was relatively unhealthy. I'm not saying that I was like a douchebag or anything, or somebody that was like a butthole to women, but there were several women that I dated that I did not treat fairly, as my mom had told me. Like my mom instilled in me, women are not objects. You know what I'm saying? And I think the level of objectifying women, and also men, like you know what I'm saying. Hold up, pause real quick. It's not just women. Men are like looked at as like, you know, toys and sex. And, you know, it's just we just talked about this on Sunday. It's scary. But men looked at. It's like arm candy and like just the glands that start the water within. You know.
And social media is like, you know, people talk about thirst traps all the time.
Yes.
You know,
all day.
It's something we're all doing like in this like weird space that isn't like you're creating these videos or you're posting these pictures from your own like room, right? Like the place that not many people like have access to,
privacy,
and yet it's like out there, and everybody can see it. And it's so weird, and that's. Wasn't a thing really when I was in middle and high school. We had social media, but it was not what it is.
100%.
All right, Tabitha.
No, I think there's one thing I want to circle back that Caesar, I think you said, and it had to do with visibility and another thing. It was weird. I talked about it on Sunday. Is especially from a female perspective, every female has another friend who is an FBI agent, like fully undercover FBI agent. I fully say that because that friend is me.
Oh my gosh.
I am known. I'm known by my friend. Literally, they're like, you are the IT department. Like you, if we need, you are Intel, CIA, can get in there, know information. Yeah. And I'll come back with, okay, this is where he went to school. This is what he did. These were his summer jobs, like full thing. But all that being said, with all that being said, it's because our generation puts so much out there, but also we're being told to.
That is true.
Like we're being told to like, this is branding, this is marketing yourself. And if you want to get anywhere, that's how to do it.
I did not know
It's
that.
building like this.
Yeah, you're building your own brand because those are the idols that like my group has come up with.
Oh my God.
And yeah, well,
so
think about it too.
Is that
you know?
explicitly told to people, or is that like an implied thing?
It's
Like,
mixed. I will say it's mixed. But when I say that it's fully told is in high school, I was like told by all of my teachers, what you put out there in the world, that sticks to you.
Yeah, for sure.
Which for some people that was like a scary thing.
Yeah.
It was for me growing up.
Whereas for others, they're like, okay, I can use this.
Wow.
And then even in other classes, like I went to a big high school, we had a business department actually. And in our business classes, we talked about branding and marketing. And
yourself specifically?
they taught this. The only reason I never took these classes, I was friends with the business teacher though. But literally talk about how can you use like your brand and who you are to get somewhere in the world, because like the new tools that are out for like my generation, it's at the fingertips. Like you said, it's hyper there. It's microwave generation, which again, for some people, it's, you know, good of like, okay, I don't have to have a lot to get to a lot.
Well, that's how, I mean, Katie, my wife, that's how we met. We met online. And so it was implied that when you're on a dating app that you want to put your best foot forward.
Yes.
And that sounds so cliche, but you like would pick the right pictures. You would pick the right kind of funny comments to put.
On Caesar.
Things. And it's just like, it is so detailed and entrepreneurial, to use, you know, that word. It's like, I'm thinking like, how do I, you know, make the sale? You know, how do I sell myself, you know, my personality, you know, and try to give somebody, you know, just the tiny bit of hesitation before they swipe left, right? You know, to swipe right or something like that. And
absolutely.
And it's just, but it's crazy to think that, you know, you have a whole younger generation they're almost preparing for that kind of world.
Entrepreneurship. Like this. But my question is, what are you selling? Like, is it your truest self? Like, I was on the dating site too, so I can definitely empathize with what you're saying. But I also was on there with just general basic information. I had a couple of pictures that look relatively nice, and that's what I did. I didn't spend a lot of time on it. But the thing is, like, for this generation, my concern is if you don't know who you are, then you're selling a image of yourself that's not real. And so whenever you get into a relationship or in the business or whatever the case may be, it's like now you have to imposter syndrome. We just said it on the last one. It's like this is gateway to imposter syndrome, and you wonder why, like, mentally you are like, yo, this is not me. I'm not happy here. It's like, you know what I'm saying? I fully endorse entrepreneurship, but at the same time, authentic entrepreneurship, like real, not, you know what I'm saying, even in the market.
That's going to inform my next question, what you talk about your real self being out there. I think that a lot of people, especially middle school and high schoolers, they get into dating because they want to try something that might be defining for them, right? Like, what's my type? You know, what type am I? You know, and I think that's a place where you know a lot of students get into it because they're like, oh, I'm going to learn something about myself. So they go into it with, you know, good motives of like something of self-discovery, or, you know, they'll get validation for being a certain type of person. Like, oh, people will notice me, you know, and I want to be noticed for a long time. Because you talked about FOMO, you know, all the options, but there's some people who go into it in high school, especially, who like want to be committed in a relationship. For sure. And so there's even some diversity within personalities. But what is something that, and chime in on this too, Tabitha, what is something that you're learning about yourself, or have learned about yourself in this whole dating? It's a phase, you know, it's not a thing that you are. You're not a dating person. Yeah. But it's a phase that we all go through. So what is something that is true about yourself that you've learned in this whole kind of space of dating and relationships?
Every relationship, whether good or bad, gave me a better perspective of how to care better for myself as a man in relationships, and what not to do to care better for the next woman that I will meet, which eventually was my wife, Crystal. in like all those relationships, whether I failed or whatever it was, they really all prepared me to be the man that Crystal appreciates and loves, and the man that I'm continuously evolving into. Like, I mean, I hate that, nobody wants to get in a relationship and break up, but it all worked out for the good. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm much more wiser as it pertains to how to be intentional about hearing what a woman is saying and loving her well. You know what I'm saying? My wife. And so that's what I would probably encourage to these.
And what's funny about that is that someone else thinks that of you too, right? Like all those guys I did, especially just Leverett. Made me the person I am today, a better person. I made some bad decisions.
So it's not wasted. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is wasted.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, that and that's something I've come to terms with. It's like I can change, right? Like, and I was in a relationship at one point where that person was like, saying something about me. Like they would say like, you're this way, and it wasn't something I wanted to be. And I remember being like, this is weird. Like this is weird that somebody could feel that way about me, that they could say, you're this kind of person. And you're forever going to be this kind of person. And I know there's some things about me like that have been pretty consistent, but I'm like, man, like I don't like that feeling of being told, or being dismissed, because it was more of a dismissive kind of thing. But I think that set me up to where, and now that I'm married, where, Katie says things like, hey, you're like this, but never like in a dismissive way. It's like in an affirming way or in a positive way. And so in that process, I learned that I really take people that I trust, I really take their words as to be like almost real for me. Like words of affirmation is something like means a lot to me, but with only for people that I trust, and I think anytime I was in a relationship, I wanted to trust that person. But that was a hard thing to learn about myself, because I thought like, oh, like I'm self-aware, or I know who I am, and felt self-confident. But anytime somebody that I was in a relationship with said something about me, I was like, oh no, I took it so to be so truthful. And what you were talking about, it's like, it wasn't until like, I met Katie, where, there's also another person involved, and there's people who know how to use their words for good and know how to use their words to tear you down or to make you feel less, to make themselves feel better. And that's even true in relationships. And so I also had to know that too, and be like, oh, well, not only do I take words to be, to be almost gold, there are other people who are better at, who are of higher character with their words. And so, and when I met Katie, I realized, oh, she is of high character with her words. And so I felt safer, and that kind of relationship really was great. But
I'm sorry. I want to, before we even hopped into this question, you had said something that I feel like we got to like just bring it to the table real quick, because I know a number of our young people are dealing with it, and that, Tabitha, you probably can speak. I know you can probably speak into this. Is students who have peers or looking for people or who engage in relationships with same-sex attraction and things like that. People within the LGBTQ Q++ community. I don't know the all the terms, and I want to be respectful of the community. But as it pertains to dating and relationships, what is the feeling? What is it? How can we talk to our students as it pertains to if they are feeling this way? How can we talk to them as it pertains to if they have friends who are within this community? What does it look like to befriend someone who is in this community? Tabitha, can you?
Yeah, first things first. I just fully want to say befriending someone within the LGBTQ+ community is the same as befriending anyone else.
100%.
Like it, just because this is a component of their life and identity part of their life does not make them any different than anybody else. So I put that as a word of encouragement to students of like, please do not take that aspect of their life and say that is who they are as a whole person, and because of who I am, I can't be friends with them. absolutely not. Like that is not the right perspective to go into it. I also say all of this with multiple friends, childhood friends, people who I still am friends with today who are part of this community, who I know and love, and to take that aspect of their life and make that who they are is so bad. Because in the same way, even within like our church community and within Christians, you could take one aspect of someone's life, blow it up, and be like, oh, well, you don't fit the norm of what I want to classify as a friend. So with all that being said, I mean, don't allow like one aspect of someone's life to inhibit you from befriending them.
Yes.
Just treat 100%. Them as a person, treat them as a human. Because at the end of the day, that's what people are going to respond to is being respected and being seen as a person.
So to go back to the question, then what have you learned about yourself? Which I think kind of pertains to even what y'all are talking about, because you know your teenage years are a place where you feel like you're just beginning to understand who you are and trying on different things. And you mentioned this like this branding kind of thing. I think so many. I mean, this is even true of us just being a little bit older. Like our image is attached to like the groups that we identify with as well. 100%. And so to go back to the original question, which was what have you learned in this process of dating? Because there seems to be this tension between what is true about yourself, but then what is also the tension between that and the feeling like you have to try out different things and to identify with different things to see what sticks.
Yes.
That might not necessarily be true, but because there's so many other people who works for them, that you're like, oh, if it works for them, it probably works for me too. And so I'm going to be something that I'm not, or be something to be a part of any particular community. Honestly. And so how have you navigated that?
I mean, circling back to what I was saying, growing up in a generation where I've constantly being sold like a dream of something, a dream of the best job, a dream of the best relationship, a dream of the best marriage. With all of that being said, my biggest advice and the biggest thing that I've learned is just slow down, and to not allow all of these outside things to define who I am on the inside. So that's like in so many ways, like you choose what influencers you follow. And my friends roast me about it because I only follow maybe like 300 to 400 people on Instagram, whereas they follow like a couple thousand. And it's because I choose.
People roast you about that?
They do. No, they do, because they're like, you're an actual grandma. And I was like, thank you. No, but genuinely, like, thank you, because I choose. I choose who I follow. I have boundaries for myself, which at a lot of points in my life has made me feel really crummy of all of my friends are getting into relationships, which I'm not knocking that because they are in relationships with really good people. But the part where it could go wrong is if I want to match them, but my intentions of getting into that relationship is for my friend, not for that person I'm trying to get into a relationship with.
And that's key, because so many people I feel like they're in like the rat race where the person that gets to the end first is the big prize. And it was so funny. I was talking with my aunt the other day because I went on a date. It just better as friends, definitely not like relationship wise. And she asked me, she's like, how'd it go? I was like, oh, it didn't go well. I said, but I texted the guy afterward and said like, hey, wasn't getting romantic vibes. Hope everything works out. Just wanted to text you that. Just full clarification. And the response, well, and it feels a little clinical, but at the end of the day, and I say this to everyone, I respect you. I hope you respect me. And with that being said, I'm not going to waste your time. I hope you don't waste mine. Come on.
I think being fully honest, not just with yourself, but also with other people is the biggest thing that I've learned of. I know people always say like, it's the dating game. Don't treat life as a game, because then it's going to treat you like a game. And that's not how I want to be.
And so how, because, this is, a conversation about where our faith and our life overlaps. And I think, especially with this particular genre of topic, there are a lot of lives like involved. Like there are a lot of people who just view this differently and think about it differently. And so I want to know, I'm not going to assume that y'all's faith is going to create this kind of universal truth about dating, because I just think that Christians have tried that, and it's not really a healthy way of going about it.
Not at all.
So So from your perspective, what is the truth about God? What is the truth about Christ and his kingdom that has been grounding for you in such a disorienting environment that dating is?
I have one right off the bat.
Go for it, please.
Fully, I think with this question, so many people go into dating of, I'm looking for someone to complete me. Ooh. And the only person who's going to complete you is God. Like, just for me, that's what I have found to be true. And not only does that relieve so much pressure from yourself, but it also makes walking into every situation where you're like, oh, I think I like this person, or oh, I think I want to go on a date with this person. No longer is the pressure on, I'm receiving affirmation from how well this goes. It's, I'm okay walking into this, and I'm okay walking out if it doesn't work well.
Yeah.
But
that's cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. That's great.
I would say know God for you that are believers, and for you that are not, know yourself. Here's why I say that. Because to know God is to know yourself. And if you don't have an image, the accurate image of who God is and how he loves and how he cares, you are going to love someone in the broken pieces that you think is the way God loves and cares. Like, I can't tell you how many times I thought that this is the way God would love this woman, or this is the way that God would do this thing, and it was the wrong image of God. Like, it was the wrong image of God. And it was because that was the piece of God that I didn't give over to myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't have a father. So I felt like, the women in relation, I dated women that had kids. And so the women in relationships, I looked to fill that role that those kids didn't have. You know what I'm saying? That's real life. But that's because, like, I understood God to be a father, and this is how I saw him. But also, too, it's a broken image of a father.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, what about just being a friend first? Like, and understanding the importance of it. So here's what I say to you guys. It is, I know that's a very deep, and like, how do I know God? How do I know God? Here's how you can start. Being honest with yourself. Like, if, like Tabitha just said, if you're in a relationship, or if you're getting to know somebody and it's not clicking, don't prolong that. Be honest with the truth that you feel within. All right? Be honest with that. Honest feelings, not just feelings of like, you're in the moment. Like okay, I just saw this guy, he's so hot. Yeah, like, don't take a moment, breathe, baby. Like, both of y'all breathe, get up off each other, because the moment is hot, and like y'all hormone, like the pheromones are being released, and y'all know
that's honestly how I feel.
No, it's not. Just take a moment, back, befriend them, and just move forward. But know God, know yourself, and you have a better understanding of how to engage in relationships. Cool. And that's one thing that I learned.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing, you guys. Great episode. I've appreciated being in the middle of this conversation, in between.
I was going to say very in between. Caesar, you were very involved. This was awesome.
But yeah, thanks for sharing y'all's perspective and how your faith has influenced the real life dilemma, oftentimes that is dating and relationships. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody. I hope you guys have a great rest of y'all's day, and join us next time for when we talk again about the places where faith and life overlap. So we'll see you guys later.
Love y'all. Peace.